So I'm Mike Suter-Tibble from the Department for Work and Pensions, analytics team. That's my Twitter thingy there. If you want to follow me and get about 3 tweets a year, do feel free to sign up. Quick kind of disclaimer at the start. So I didn't do the coding for this tool. It's people in my team. So well, actually Dan isn't, but Dan Gilbert and Ed Gucci basically created this. So they're the folks that did all the coding and all the clever stuff. And I'm sure they'll be fine with being tweeted any questions, that kind of thing. And I'll tweet the links and stuff later on, but this is, that link at the bottom is kind of where you find the GitHub for how to create the tool. Basically what this session is just a quick kind of run through a tool we built, which basically gives us, we built it because the alerting function within Google Analytics isn't really very good, and we had a use case to build something a bit better. So when I talk about the alerts in Google Analytics, does everyone know what I'm talking about? This thing. Yeah, those ones. So they're a bit limited.
Yeah.
So the reason why this wouldn't work, so the sort of background is, I suppose the use case is that we support quite a lot of services. So DWP's probably got about 60 odd web services doing various different things. Lots of them are kind of applying for benefits or claiming various different things, and we've got some comms ones as well. So there's quite a lot of different teams we're supporting, and they have sort of various different solutions to check whether their site is up or down, or if there's a problem with it. So some you can use things like Pingdom, but for some services you can't use those kind of tools because they're behind a firewall, because they're an internal service, or various different things. And other problems with those sorts of services are things like it's all kind of automated, so you can only really see if it works in this automated fashion. You can't see any other problems with other browsers, things like that. So we wanted to make sure that we could quickly alert teams to potential problems with the service using GA data. The GA, the alert function within GA itself is a bit limited, to say the least. Does anyone use it? Okay, right, wow. So it only sends alerts once a day, but it's kind of the most frequent. And there's obviously only certain things you can use it. You can set it to fire on, and it's all quite. It's not very configurable. So it's if you wanted to set it up for a specific page, you have to create a segment or a view and all those sorts of things. So it's a bit fiddly if you want to get something very specific. So, for example, one of the things we might want to track, on a lot of services, is page views of an error page. So just as an indication that there might be a bit of a problem. So more than 10 views of an error page. We want that to be pretty quick so that services know. Basically the idea was we wanted to be able to tell services there might be a problem before they start getting angry phone calls from customers. Or from the call centre saying we suddenly had a massive spike in phone calls. Is the site okay? So we wanted to build that. So our solution uses the Realtime API, and it will check we've made it so that it will check up to every 5 minutes using the Realtime API. You could set it for every minute if you wanted, but there's a couple of limitations which I'll just mention at the end. So that's what it does. So another disclaimer, we didn't build this as like a commercial tool or anything. It's just an easy to use, quick kind of solution. So it's not a service, there's no Flash front end or anything like that. But essentially what you do is you go to the GitHub, which I'll send the link around of, and you create a copy of a Google Sheet like this one. So so this one. So it's kind of reasonably familiar if you've used the Google Sheets add-on for the normal API, except this uses the Realtime API. So this is just an example that I've set up. So this looks at that property number, the metric is real-time page views. It's looking at page path, and we've got a filter on there for the page path is the cookie page. But just when I was thinking about what I could demo this on, I thought let's choose a page that people don't often look at. Cookies page seems quite reasonable for that one. And then the threshold just is, what you want to trigger it basically. So this is set to be when it's over 1, and that will be in the last half hour, because the real-time API tells you what's happened in the last half hour. So it's more than one view of the cookies page. You can set what hours you want it to run between. So this is set between 6 in the morning and 5 in the evening, and it's set to run on all days, but you can change that to weekdays. Although that'd be daft now because it wouldn't work. And the expiry time basically is the kind of wait time between when it will send another alert. So if you didn't have anything in there, you'd get at least a series of them, because it would just send you an alert every 5 minutes, and it's looking back half an hour. So if you had 10 in 1 minute, you'd get 6 alerts, 12 alerts. That's what it turned out. So you can set that to whatever you want. So on a lot of services where we set this up, we set that to an hour. So probably only want to be warned every hour, but there might be a problem. And you put which email addresses you want to send the alerts to there, a message you want to put in there, and then the Slack you've made it. This is a version we're working. So the version we'll share lets you email. The version we're working on at the moment lets you do an alert to Slack. So when you set it up, and there's instructions on the GitHub page about how to set it up. So what you would do now is you would just check the alert configuration, so it should tell me if it's okay. Yeah. And then we'll
Sorry, quick stupid question before I interrupt you.
Yeah.
If you say you set it to an expiry of an hour, does it still apply that it then looks at what happened in the last half hour? So you're missing half an hour, or is that a summary of what happened in the last hour?
Yeah, no, it would look at the following half hour. Yeah. It's just if there's an ongoing issue, people don't want to get a Slack message every 5 minutes. So the next one we do. So what I'm going to do is I set it to this. Look at this page on the screen. So this is the cookies page on our excellent send your fit note service. I'm just going to do that. Send your fit note service basically lets you take a photo of your fit note on your phone and then send it to us, rather than walking into a job centre or posting it. A few times. Right. So then in here, what I do is just schedule alerting. Okay, so it is 5 minutes past 4, so see how long that takes. So I'll talk about a few other bits while we're waiting for that to fire, he said confidently. So it's pretty. So the aim is for it to be pretty simple to set up. You have to do a bit of giving it permissions and stuff. So you will at some point get the kind of scary thing where it says, we don't recommend you use this because it looks dodgy, but you just accept it, it's fine. Seriously. And so that's kind of it. So the real-time API, has anyone used the real-time API for it? Yeah. So it's a bit, you have some slightly different kind of metrics in it, but there's a handy guide here which shows you all the things you could put in. So it's not bad, you've got goal conversions and stuff. And it does, like I said, so it looks back to the last half hour. Well, I mean, that is configurable, but we just kind of left that at half hour because that seems like a reasonable time frame.
Do you use Google Analytics 360 or just standard?
Yeah, we use 360. Yeah. So, which is that's my next point really. So one reason for one thing that this helps with is this gets around the kind of latency issue. So if you're going to use the normal API, if you're using free GA, you'd obviously have potentially what I'm going to get. Stuff's going to be a bit of a lag what's written into the data. If you're using 360, that's not so much a problem, but that's why it's using the real-time API. Limits of the real-time API are that it only looks at hits, so you can't do anything on a session basis. Just hit. dealers. So yeah, so some of the sort of issues, well, not issues, some other things to mention, I suppose, are, so we've set it to run every 5 minutes. You could run it every minute, but there's a couple of sort of quotas that might cause problems. So you get a quota in terms of the amount of time. Oh, it's been on the wrong screen now. That's just what I'll do. I will. Drag something. So there you go. So some of you look at this page, 4 pages. So was exactly 5 minutes, which is what you'd expect, because when you start it starts 5 minutes time.
Is there any way how to, not like predict, but compare it with the previous day or average of the previous week or something like that?
Yeah, there is. So I was just going to mention that.
Awesome.
No, it's good. So yeah, so there's a couple of ways. So yeah, you get like a quota on your runtime. So how long you can have the script running, and there's also some other quotas about sort of hits. But basically, we've done that because we're running quite a lot of alerts off the same Google account. So it might go over it, but you basically have to be, if you were only looking at one property, if you only had one alert running one property, you still wouldn't go over the limit if you had it going every minute. So they're not too much to worry about, to be honest. And you can set multiple alerts up on the same sheet. So yes, so the point around, could you set it to look at averages? Yes, you can. So that is obviously a kind of an absolute figure, and so for sometimes we've set it to do that. So we've done that. We've used it with more than one or two for things like error pages, or just to check that something's working when we put a new event in, just check it's firing up, just easier than having to go and look at it. But on some services, we have done things like looking at how it compares to the previous, the average for a previous day, so things like that. And the way to do it is just to use Google Sheet using the normal GA API, do the calculation in there, and then just draw it, just bring it into there, bring it into that one there, because that will then just, when it runs it, it'll update that. So we've done that with 1 or 2 services, yeah. We did it on, what did we do it on? We did it on a service called Find a Job, which is basically a kind of jobs board, and that was launched fairly recently. We just set it up just to see if it was kind of if the increase in traffic was about what we expected. We didn't really need to do it, we just sort of did it for a laugh, really, I suppose. But you can set it up to all sorts of things, like some rush in orders or some decrease in orders, those sorts of things. So yeah, so that is kind of it. There's a couple of bugs in it at the moment, like you can't put 0 in that cell there. Not quite sure why. We're going to try and sort that out. And the Slack one is probably done, but we just want to test it a bit before we kind of use that as the main one we stick on GitHub.
Can you share some of the code?
Yeah, it's all completely open. So it's all on GitHub. So all you do, yeah. So if you wanted to do it, so we'll send the link out here. So you just copy. So all the instructions are on here. So you just basically make a copy of the sheet. So you follow a link somewhere. Probably should read that. There's a link somewhere anyway.
Oh yeah, in there, set up, yeah.
So that's a script template. There is. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. I can't remember. I'll double check. But there is definitely just you just click on it and create a copy of the sheet. So yeah, so we're just giving it away for free because we made it, and we're the government, so we don't have to charge people. So yeah, so okay. So I mean, what? That's kind of the demo. We found it useful. Don't know if anyone else would.
We created like similar arrays through Google Sheets, but it's on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Because we have like 60 properties across many accounts, and it's like really a bunch of them. So we select on a daily basis. We select like I don't know, like number of transactions, e-commerce conversion rate, number of users, number of 404 pages. So there's like around, I think, 8 kind of metrics we checking, and I also create there's a chart in a Google Sheet, and directly in the Google Sheets it's happy which downloading data from Google Analytics and downloading data from Google AdWords. We also comparing AdWords performance.
Yeah.
And we also creating there's like 40% of weighted average. It's by the similar day, so it's like, for example, in Tuesday. So we check the Tuesday and then we average on a two month.
Yeah.
And when we creating the alert, we also sending these charts just to see, like, I compare with the problem is then the weighted average, like let's say like send me the email when it's difference between like 30%, which across the countries on a global level it's always different because of traffic is not that huge, and I don't know how to deal with that, because we do it through the sheets. So I create like alert master where I trying to adjust it according to the country, but sometimes now it's working I think on 15 countries, just the testing phase.
Yeah.
And sometimes I receive like 12 emails where 10 is fake.
Yeah.
And sometimes I receive like 3 emails, so it's like
So so we have a kind of similar thing. So this is kind of the first tool we made in it. We've got a bit of a kind of program of what we're planning to make. So, and the kind of use case for this is to alert the team themselves, which is why it's a kind of every 5 minutes. So it's just to say so that we don't have to kind of do anything. It basically tell the team there might be a problem, we want to look into it. So we're also looking to build stuff which we will run in R, so we're going to kind of post it somewhere, which will alert us if things go out of range. So we're looking at some kind of code libraries in R. There's one that was built by, I think, Twitter, and I think other people have kind of updated it, which basically looks for breakouts and anomalies. So it will flag up if something just goes a bit wacky, and it just kind of looks back at the history and works out, kind of what that is. But yeah, that's exactly right. You've got to work out what the threshold is, and there's a bit of a playing around with that. So we do find sometimes it will fire, and there's not a problem. So we just have to sort of work with the team to work out when they want to, what they consider an indicator.
In the case of if you have some kind of like website where like 404 pages, or if you can put the tracking of like 500 or something like CMS error pages, it would be the perfect idea to across the countries, across global level.
Yeah, that's what we've done. So pretty much all our services have one of these set up for those sort of errors that basically flag up, and just depending on the scale of the service, kind of that kind of dictates what things. And we've done some work to try and look at where we know we've had incidents, see how many of those pages there were, so we can kind of set it to a sensible level. So
So just I don't know if you covered this before, but if for example you're checking something every 10 minutes, what's the sort of maximum number of kind of real-time alerts that you can have en masse?
So so I'm not completely 100% sure on all the figures and stuff, but there's a couple of different sort of quotas you get. But basically, if you were running, so you can have multiple ones in the same sheet. So if I did this, create an alert, we'll just have another sheet somewhere. Yeah, there you go. So it's adding another column, so you can do another one in there rather.
Would it tell you that it's hit bandwidth, or would it give you anything like that?
Yeah. So there's one type of quota will give you an error. It will send you an email that says error. Another type of quota, it will just stop running. So there's basically, if you put too many along here, you'll probably get the one that says you've got too many reports running, which just means you have to put another sheet. So make 2 sheets. If you do the quota, which is on the kind of running of the query, I think it's the way around. So if you're taking too much time with the run query, it will just stop anyway. But if that was a serious problem, and we reckon you'd have to have you probably have to have 40 alerts in the same sheet or something, kind of every 5 minutes to get much wrong with that. And
that's 40 metrics or 40 sort of combinations of metrics?
Well, it's 40 alerts, so each alert is only on one thing. So yeah, so it would kind of know. So yeah, if you had a lot of columns, that was a problem. But you could get around it if you had, I mean, that's on a free Google account. So if you updated it to G Suite for £3.30 a month per user, you'd have 10 times the capacity. Or just use another user account.
Well, I was just, because we've tried to do this, but actually do it in BigQuery.
Yeah.
If you're using 360. But I actually quite like that if it's simple enough, like this, which is a really nice implementation.
Yeah, I mean, this is dead easy. So it's not, I mean, it's a bit, you've got to give it a few permissions and stuff, and it's quite basic, but that was the point, was to do something fairly quick.
Good.
It's not too flashy. We're moving on to the flasher stuff shortly, where we do data from BigQuery into our platforms.
If we do any kind of stuff, would you want like pull requests if we were to modify some of the stuff?
Yeah, if you change it around, yeah, let us know. Yeah. So yeah, so just to show you, so there you go, it's sent 3 alerts so far. So yeah, so that would just keep sending me an alert every 5 minutes. So, yeah, well, half an hour basically.
Is it the app script that configures what gets pulled through in that alert?
No, so you've got, well, you can,
Is
that's in here, so that's in someone view the cookies page. So I'll have emails with, I'll have 3 emails with the subjects that and such and stuff.
That Slack notification underneath, it says, is it just pulling in the metric?
Yeah, so it just gives you that. Yeah, so you get that, sorry, yeah, you get that in the email and the Slack message. Yeah. So yeah, so we're going to sort out the Slack thing fairly soon, hopefully, and then kind of release that. We just want to double check it. But yeah.
I have a small question related to something already discussed. It's just that I'm not clear yet. Does it actually work also with the standard version? Because I noticed 360 in there, and some people have the free version.
Oh yeah.
Do you need to change the steps on the implementation side in any way, or
no,
any notes?
Yeah, it's just the same.
So it can still report at the 5 minutes level? Nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so it works on any account. Does this look like it might be useful, or does it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you use it, let us know. And if you've got, I mean, if you have any problems with it, so we're sort of, I mean, we keep spotting more bugs every time we try to do something different with it. So if you spot anything,
The threshold to 0. Are you actively on this, or is this future roadmap?
Yeah. No. Ed's working on that at the moment.
Yeah, that sounds really useful, actually. Yeah.
In fact, yeah, he's on Slack, so he's probably doing it now.
Good point.
So yeah, so if there's anything, anything else, and yeah, if you use it, just feedback.
Another small thing.
Yeah, sure.
Did you manage to have a test on a feature with segments? Because I've noticed that in GA you can also choose custom segments.
Yeah, so no, you can't. You can't do that in the real-time app because it's just hit level data.
Oh, okay.
So you have to do things through filtering. Yeah. So you do. I suppose if you wanted to segment, it depends. So if there's something you could do through a view or something, like creating a view for it.
So if you have the settings in the view instead, because I was thinking on combinations between different actions.
Yeah.
Event category, event label, and event action, something like that.
Yeah, probably.
It might be
Yeah,
useful.
you might not be able to do that. You might have to do something in GA on that. Either create a view or do a find and replace filter to do something in a custom dimension. Maybe.
Custom dimension, okay.
Could you do that? Possibly. Yeah, I should have to think about that.
Maybe something for the future, yeah.
Yeah.
Next versions.
Yeah. Well, you might be able to, no, what I mean is you might be able to configure GA, so it would do something you could. Because in the dimensions you've got, I think we've got dimensions. Yeah, maybe not. So what you might have to do is use some find and replace filter that changes something. Oh, yeah.
Time's up.
Okay.
Drinks are out.